right, hello again. So today we are going to deal with a piece of working in GIS that can cause and probably causes, in my experience in the lab, 80% of student issues when they're working in GIS, and it can be one of the most frustrating and common issues, and that's managing our files, knowing where our files are, and doing it in a way that works with GIS. Which sounds kind of silly, but honestly, when and if we're in the lab together, I don't think it's silly. I know how easy it is to end up with a lost file, especially as you're just starting to work with this. But I want to make sure that we are starting out with a solid framework in this part of GIS, because it's kind of essential to start strong here. And it'll give us a foundation to build on. So that's why this is section 2, and it ends up getting pretty meaty. So it'll be several lectures, but I think with a strong foundation, we'll start you off well, and it'll be a lot less frustrating as you move forward. Let's look at the objectives here. When this section is complete, you should be able to perform the following: manage files to optimize system performance and organization. Yes. Create files, folders, and geodatabases that conform to naming standards. Create folder and geodatabase connections. Explain the functions that an APRX file carries out. Fix the red exclamation mark when it shows up in your table of contents. You will see those today. Explain common uses and limitations for spatial data stored as raster files versus data stored as vector files. Holy Hannah, we're introducing new vocabulary here. And then describe differences between shapefiles and feature classes. Yeah, we're doing all that today. So we're going to start out with this first key question, and then we're going to do some stuff. That's why it's not just a lecture, it's a demonstration. So the question I ask is, what rules do I need to follow when I create folders and files that contain spatial data? Well, the foundation you need to understand is that ArcGIS Pro is derived from software that was first released in 1981. And so because of that, you're dealing with old code that conforms to old rules and standards. I will say, way back in the way back, which I remember, you would start up a computer, it was very large, and you'd get either a green screen or a blue screen with a little white cursor, and you'd have to type stuff in to get the computer to do anything. There was no such thing as a mouse back in the old days, and you had to walk 3 miles to school, uphill both ways in the snow. But now most of our software is just like mouse interface, and they don't really care what you type in, but our GIS software does. And luckily it's been updated enough that sometimes you can get away with it, but when you start running more complicated analyses and you're wondering why it doesn't work, it's oftentimes because you named something wrong, or you're trying to save it in a folder that's not working that way. So you're going to begin your file and folder names for anything that anytime you store data you're going to use in GIS. You're going to begin the file and folder names with a letter. Okay? You will never begin with a number or a special character or a space. Okay? You're never actually going to use spaces, and that's the thing that makes it so much different than like working in Word or Excel. Word and Excel don't really care if you use spaces, but GIS does. Instead of a space, you can use an underscore or just get rid of spaces. So the underscore is found on your keyboard if you press Shift, and it's right next to the 0, so you either get a dash or an underscore. It's the key right next to the 0 to the right of the 0. And then you're also not going to use special characters. This looks like Yosemite Sam or maybe my dad cursing, but don't use those special characters. It's going to confuse the software, especially because those special characters are often used in code. And so other words that might be used in code also will choke the software. So those can include words like con, some, if, and actually or as well. So watch out for words that might be used in code, and just don't use them in naming folders and files. So like I said, sometimes you can get away with poor naming once, but it's going to bite you when you start running more complicated analyses. I am going to we're going to actually skip a couple questions down now that we know how to name folders. And let's see here. Preview. Let's see. Oh, here's this question. So where should I save projects? We're going to create a folder for this class during this demonstration, and you have to decide where you're going to create that folder. So basically you've got 4 options. You can save things on the campus network, and I'm going to talk you through, type out the pros and cons of that. Positives of the campus network is I've never lost anything from it. It's pretty much always up and running. Other positives of the campus network, you can access your files all over campus instantly, and yeah, and we have lots of storage space. So it depends, like when you registered for school, which campus server you would have access to, but it'll generally be like a W drive or something like that. I'll show you. I'm here from, let's see if I can get that to pop up for me. So I'm running this on a VPN connection from home, and so, but I can still access my campus files just because I'm from home. I think they look like my Marilyn Nielsen files. So because I'm an employee, I can go ahead and access these from home, but you won't be able to. And it's generally going to be like your W drive. But we have a couple other servers that also serve students. Okay. All right. And I can't exactly replicate the student experience here because I have access to different folders. So next, OneDrive. So here's, oh, maybe we should talk about the cons of using the campus network next. You can't access these at home. As a student. So as a faculty, I can use a special VPN connection, but that's not readily available to students. Sometimes there's a plus to not being able to access your files at home if you're just like, I want to create a clear boundary between school and home, or if you're working with me in the lab, sometimes it's just, you can work faster if you're in the lab and you've got the fast computers there and you've got support anytime, immediate support if you run into a hiccup. So there's benefits to just working on campus when you come home and it's just home. So OneDrive is our cloud storage that we use through Microsoft. Advantages to OneDrive are you can access your files from any computer. Okay. Oh, I should also say another advantage to the campus network is it's fast. Kind of pretty much always. OneDrive, you can access your files from any computer, so that's really positive and useful. Disadvantages are going to be that, I'm trying to think the name for it, like updates, and uploading can be slow. So you might work on one computer like for 2 hours in the morning and then take a quick lunch break and then get back to a different computer and start to pull up your files on OneDrive and you find that they're not there. It's because they haven't updated or refreshed. So your data may not be available right when you need it. Okay. And that's a pain. And it's kind of frustrating, but it is great to be able to access your files from any computer. Occasionally, maybe that's just one S. Occasionally, 2 L's. Let's see, changes you've made to a project won't show up when you need them. Okay, so it's a little bit sketchy. I will say it's gotten better. It's happened to me, and let's see, I've been working off of OneDrive with GIS in particular, and basically this software for about 4 years. And in 4 years of doing a lot of work, it's happened to me twice. In my situation, it's been relatively minor, but I've been like, I know that I saved it. I know that I had everything there, and like I double checked it, and then it went to a new computer, and things didn't show up, like some small changes I'd made. So that can be kind of baffling and frustrating, but if you're always working on the same computer and you're working on OneDrive, that doesn't really happen. So I'll put that in parentheses. So for example, if you're taking this course online and you're just using your laptop, either a school laptop or your personal laptop, and you're storing to OneDrive, but you always use the same computer, you won't have that problem. This problem shows up if you are working on your laptop at home and saving to OneDrive, and then you go into campus and go onto a campus computer and try to access the same project, and you may find that it hasn't updated or refreshed, or you've actually lost a few changes. I've never had someone lose a whole project, but I have had them lose a few changes. So that's something to be aware of. Otherwise, OneDrive is incredibly convenient, and in fact, that's where I'm going to show you where I've been saving my files, but I just have to give you that warning up front, okay? So if you're planning to stay on the same computer, I think OneDrive works well. It's maybe just a little bit slower than the campus network. But you can store a lot here too. The reason that I use OneDrive is because I do end up working at home. Particularly, I will reveal to you that it is summertime right now. I am off contract. I am sitting outside in my lovely yard to do this demonstration, and I would much rather be here than in my windowless office. So that's why I'm using OneDrive, and also I'm staying on this computer. So it's not going to be a big deal for me. So think of your situation and decide. And then here's another place you can save. You can save stuff to an external drive, like we often call those thumb drives or flash drives. The advantages are you can work at home. Never have to wait for OneDrive to update. Pretty fast, especially for the kind of stuff that we're doing. Like in this first class, we're not running anything that's too heavy. Let's see, so you can work at home, you never have to wait for OneDrive to update. Pretty fast. Those are all good reasons. And so you can work on school or home computer. The other piece, the cons. Well, what if you lose your drive? This is why I don't use a thumb drive. What if your drive is damaged? Because it could actually be physically damaged, like maybe you drop it or something like that. So I've had students successfully use a thumb drive or flash drive. Myself, I will admit to being slightly absent-minded, and so something that I could lose or drop is probably not a good idea for me. But for you it may be, because I have many students that are just very, very conscientious, which is a great attribute in a student, and you're never going to lose your thumb drive, and you'll always have it at class, and you'll never have to just kind of sit there like, well, I can't do anything because everything is on this thumb drive and it's not here. But I will support you if that's the choice you make. And then the other piece is, if you are, especially my online students, you could store all your data locally on your home computer. So yeah, you can work at home. And if it's a laptop, can take to school, sure. Although our school computers are generally going to be faster than your laptop. But if you store it there locally, you can work at home. If a laptop you can take to school, what else is positive about that? It's going to be fast. because the data is right there. Doesn't have to travel over any connections. Cons are going to be what? Yeah, this is the most likely scenario. What if someone steals your laptop? We do live in Spokane, right? Or they steal your backpack out of your pickup, and now all your project work is gone, everything you've done, because it was just saved to the computer itself, and you can't access it from other computers. Other less likely scenarios, what if you drop it? Okay, yeah. What if you spill? Okay, so we've gone through these scenarios. I've talked with you about the pros and cons, and now you get to make the choice. Where are you going to save your data for this class? Where are you going to save your projects and whatnot? And now we're going to act on that, and we're going to make a folder. All right, so we've decided, like I told you, I'm going to save to OneDrive. There are absolutely disadvantages. I'm going to, yeah, let's see, go back to, I should close some of these so it's not confusing to you. Just open a new one. All right, so absolutely advantages and disadvantages, but I'm going to go here, and on my OneDrive here, this is my little cloud for Community Colleges of Spokane. You may get to your OneDrives in some other way. I think I can go through my user account. No, maybe not. SCC kind of sets these all up a little bit different here. Here's my OneDrive again, shows up a couple times and ways I can get to it. And so if I go into my OneDrive, I'm actually going to make a folder that's shallow. And what I mean by shallow is I don't have to go into a folder, into another folder, into another folder. So I don't say, hey, first in OneDrive I'm going to say schoolwork. Then I'm going to say fall quarter. Then I'm going to say morning classes. Then I'm going to say GIS. Then I'm going to say GIS storage. That would just be too deep. I'm going to have this as shallow as possible because in general it's going to run faster. So if I right click right here in just out here in the open, I should be able to make a new folder. So I just actually, yeah, that's a right click. So if you right click kind of in the empty space here, you can create a new folder. Here's my new folder. It's in OneDrive. You'll notice that I have a boatload of folders, and that's because I do a boatload of things. And also it's probably about time to clean this up a little bit too. Filling things up on OneDrive because it's big and I can. But I'm going to call this, let's see, what will I call this? I'm going to call this GIS Basics. And for me, right, because I have to keep this straight, I'm going to remind myself this is the demonstrations. These are the demonstrations I'm running for you guys. If I were you, I'd probably just call it GIS Basics, or maybe GIS Basics Data. I'm calling it demonstration files because that's going to cue my brain and let me know, remind me what it is when I'm looking through my folders. Okay, so there's my folder for the class, for this work. There we go. I can open it, it's empty. But let's do a little something now that we've done that, and it's just fine, obviously, to pause me because you probably have to take a minute to think about your folder and where you want it. The next thing I'm going to do is you are going to go to Canvas and you're going to download the data for this, for your GIS Basics work, okay? And so that's going to be a click, and the click is going to take you to some... All right, so I just had to rework some of the downloads for you guys. It's good we find these issues early. So basically you're going to come to a downloads page. It'll look something like this. I'll have a couple links up in Canvas for you. You're going to download a few different things. You're going to download the county utilities data. So we're going to click on that. We're going to download it. And like I said, this is what it looks like working in Firefox. And I can go easily to my downloads here and cut it. Boom, out of there. The reason that I cut and paste is that On occasion, I have seen students lose data when they copy and paste, and it's happened to me as well before. For some reason, the cutting and pasting, what'll happen is it'll like automatically, in some browsers, it'll automatically open all the files, and so it won't move them as this zipped up, compressed file. So that's why I'm doing it this way. So it's in downloads, and now I can go to the folder that I created for the class, and I'm going to right click and I'm going to paste this. These are two ones that are in error, so I'm going to delete these. Oop. Oop. Okay. So that's my county utilities data, and then I'm going to go ahead and go through the whole extraction process here. I'm going to extract everything right here to OneDrive, because that's where I put my folder. Just give me the message for deleted, because I just deleted some stuff, not because of anything I'm doing right now. So my county utilities data just downloaded there. So there it is. And you can get rid of a zipped up folder once you've extracted it to save space. And if you're like me, Microsoft will give you a warning that, hey, you've just deleted a bunch of files, but it's not a big deal. We're going to download the monthly precipitation. This is kind of big. There. Yes, I deleted those. We're going to download this one, so this will take a little bit longer. That's all right. We can't stand for viruses. If we do have a problem with the files, it's generally going to be with this one because it's so large. It's kind of a fun file. It shows precipitation values for every month across North America. That's what the title should tell you. It's raster data, and it's nice for us to see it when we're working with rasters. You can get a feeling for what raster data looks like, and it'll be fun for some of our demonstrations, but it is a big, gnarly folder, so hopefully it downloads okay and will extract okay for us. But we got to this Google site from Canvas, and we're going from here. That one's done, and then this is the map we're going to work with today, so that'll be fun, and it's small, so it'll go right away. Okay, so those are in downloads now. I can go to my downloads folder, and I'm going to take these two. I'm going to grab both of them, right click and cut, and then I'm going to go into my folder for the class. Your folder may look a little different, maybe in a different spot than mine. I'm going to right click, I'm going to paste. Alright, and then I need to extract them. This one's going to take a while, so I'll start with this one. Right click and extract all. So that's going to unzip it. I'm just extracting them in the same folder I copied them into. So there we go, and it automatically opens that when you're done. But I'm going to delete this one into the trash. And then this will take a little bit longer. Extract all. And if I get an error, it's going to be with this one. So fingers crossed. Oh, no errors. Yay. There we go. Okay. Yes, I know. Deleted files are removed everywhere. Now I'm going to delete this one, and it'll give me that error in a minute. All right, there we go. Okay, so now we've got our folder for the class, and we've got a few things downloaded into it. Yay. And that's as far as I wanted to go in this, to keep us to about 20 minutes. And we will open these up and work with them in the next